is Albert Quirantes, criminal defense attorney in Miami, Florida, and I've been educating you on your rights to remain silent, what to do when you're pulled over by a police officer, what you do when you're suspected of DUI, and today we're here to continue to talk about the refusal or not refusing. We talked about when you don't refuse a breath test, you have the right to an independent blood test. And most of the time, the officer will read you that right. You should invoke that right. You should say, I would like an independent blood test. In many instances, the officer will give you a phone book, or we don't have phone books anymore. The officer might give you the phone of the nearest hospitals for you to arrange for the test. If the officer does not offer to take you there, we have a motion to throw out the breath test. Why? Because you have a right to request an independent blood test. And if you're in handcuffs and you're in a police station, you can't be expected to just miraculously teleport yourself to the hospital to be given your blood test. So you have an absolute right there to have them take you to the hospital. You arrange for it, and most of the time, guess what? They're not going to do it. So if you make sure they note there that you asked for your right when they told you have a right to an independent blood test, you asked for your right to the blood test, and they don't take you, we can actually do a motion to suppress, and the judge would have to throw out the results of your breath test, and the jury would never be able to find out that you refused the breath test or anything, because you didn't refuse. You did blow, and you actually may have had a limit over the legal limit, but they did not honor your right to an independent blood test. And that's a no-no. That could lead to getting your entire breath test thrown out, and that could lead to the dismissal of your DUI case, or the reduction in charges to a traffic ticket, or to a reckless driving with no points, or there's a lot of different options that the state attorney has to offer you when their case is weak like that. And you can also get it dismissed, or you can win at a jury trial without a breath test and without a refusal. Now, there's a difference when you refuse the test. You have an option to refuse the breath test, and you can say, I refuse the breath test. I want to talk to a lawyer before I make my decision. The officer might tell you, sir, you don't have a right to a lawyer. You have a right to a lawyer when you don't want to speak to me or you don't want to answer my questions. I understand that. But you must decide. If you don't want to blow, we're going to suspend your license for a year, or 18 months if it's your second or more refusal. So at that point, you have to make the decision. Do I want to exclude this breath test number that I may have from evidence in this case, in exchange for them telling the jury they gave you an option to blow, they told you your license will be suspended for a year or 18 months, and you decided not to blow despite that? That shows consciousness of guilt. You know you're drunk, or you know you're impaired, and you don't want to cooperate. That's what the state attorney is going to argue in their case in chief to the jury. But if you tell the officer, and he's probably, or she is recording it on a body cam, if you tell him, I'd like an attorney before I decide whether to refuse, now you have something on your side. They're going to say you're refusing because you know you're drunk. And you're going to say, and your lawyer's going to say, no, he's refusing because he wanted a lawyer. He felt he had a constitutional right to an attorney before making that complex decision. There's a lot of reasons why people don't take breath tests, and we can go into that in another video. But you wanted not to blow on that breath test because you had to consult an attorney, and you thought you had a Sixth Amendment right to do so. So that can counterbalance the situation where the state attorney is going to be arguing that you knew you were going to lose your license, and you gave up your license, and you refused the breath test because you knew you were under the influence, or impaired, or drunk. Okay? Now, those are instances where the officer stops you because of either probable cause that you had a traffic infraction, or you committed a traffic infraction, and then they smell alcohol on you. They smell the smell of alcohol beverage on your breath, which is a distinct odor. It can be confused with many other things, but most of the time it means that you drank something mixed with alcohol and you're emitting that odor. That's not sufficient grounds for a DUI arrest. So there has to be a lot more. There has to be observations of your impairment, manifestations of your impairment. So observations are bloodshot eyes, slurred speech, the strong smell, or the faint smell or whatever of an alcoholic beverage on your breath. Then you stumble while you walk. They call it fumbling through your wallet. Who fumbles? That's a term for football. Come on, guys. But they like to say fumble through your wallet when you're just looking through your wallet to find your license. The officer's training manual, whoever designed it, thought that, the license should be the first thing there, so you should just open your wallet and produce the license, and that's it. No, not everyone has their license right in front of them. You got to go through a few documents in your wallet, and they call that fumbling, so that the fact finder hears that and is supposed to influence them into thinking, oh, he was drunk because he was part of the totality of the circumstances is he was fumbling through the wallet. I don't like that one, but they get away with using that a lot. And then holds on to the door for support. Well, everybody has to grab the handle or grab the door, something to help get out of the car. You don't just miraculously ascend out of your vehicle, but they like to say had to use the door of the vehicle for support. And those are things that they